It's your girl, Kait, and today we have a Patreon exclusive, and we're talking about, I'm talking about something controversial, and this is something that I've never shared publicly, that I've never talked about in a public forum, and it's the subject of politics, which is very interesting given the fact that the new election is right around the corner. So, we're going to talk about this in the safety of our Patreon community. And if you want to hear the whole thing, because if you're listening right now, it's going to get cut off. And we'd love to invite you to join our Patreon community, patreon.com/Heart of Dating. We have an amazing community of people in there. It's a great way to support our show and honestly just get connected with amazing individuals. This next month in October, we're doing a Patreon exclusive hangout, which is going to be so fun. Let me find out the date so I can say it accurately. I believe it's going to be October 19th. We're going to be doing a Patreon exclusive in-person hangout, down here in Nashville, Franklin area. So if you want to hang out with JJ and I and Eleanor and do some fun fall things, more to come on that. But again, that's just going to be for our Patreon community. Okay, so today we are talking about politics and how that affects our dating life, how that affects us as Christians. And I just have always been hesitant to share anything like this publicly because of the state of our current world at the moment with politics, and specifically in the Christian community. I shouldn't say world, the state of America and politics more so than the world and politics, but America and politics and then Christians and politics. Okay, so where do I stand on things? This will get interesting. I first want to start off by sharing a little bit of my journey through politics. So I grew up in Connecticut and I grew up Catholic. And in high school, I converted to be an evangelical Christian. And for most of my life, I would say I grew up pretty conservatively. And I think the word conservative it's kind of interesting because we associate that with just politics, but that word has a lot of different meanings. I didn't grow up with a lot of diversity in my life. I didn't grow up with a lot of exposure to different things. I grew up in Connecticut, which if you ever seen the Stepford Wives, is kind of like that. It's like Perfectville. As far as I can remember, I had one Asian American in my class. I had one African American in my class, and that was it. There was very little diversity. I had no Hispanics in my class, and it was just very, very white, okay? And on top of that, I went to Catholic school, not Catholic school, I went to a Catholic church, had Catholic curriculum outside of my school, and it was just a very interesting experience, and I would say a very conservative experience in terms of I wasn't exposed to a lot. Now, when I grew up, when I got older and got into college, I remember the election between, I believe it was Obama and John McCain. And I don't believe I actually knew much about either candidate at the time. But what I did know was, okay, Kate, if you are a Christian, you're supposed to vote Republican. That's what you do as a Christian. You vote Republican. So I honestly, you guys, remember thinking that Obama was horrible, that he is going to be a horrible leader, that he's a horrible person. And I honestly didn't even watch the news. I didn't where did I get these ideologies? I got these ideologies from other Christians who put them in my mind that Obama is a horrible person. He has horrible policies. He's just this, that, and the other. He's going to destroy our country. And so I was so against Obama and so pro John McCain. And what is just so fascinating is how I got there was because of what people told me to believe. And I just believed what I thought I was supposed to believe and went along with what everybody around me was thinking and believing. And I would say that I was being naive and I wasn't being very educated. And so I remember when Obama got elected the first time, I was devastated. I was like, this is horrible. This is such a loss. And I truly was devastated that a liberal person would be the president of our country. So what was interesting is as I went through college and then moved to New York City, and then moved to LA, I actually got exposed to a lot more culture, a lot more diversity, a lot of different ways of thinking. Before that, I lived in Connecticut, briefly in Ohio, and then in Texas. And so when I moved to New York, when I moved to LA, when I moved to these cities and experienced more diversity, more culture, more just different ways of thinking, my brain started to be expanded and challenged of like my ways of thoughts and why I believed what I believed. And I went on this journey as well, even with my own faith, especially when it came to purity culture and what I believed about my body and sexual boundaries. But then, similarly, I went on this journey when it came to what I believed politically. And so I started to really think about like, okay, well, why did I think Obama was this horrible, demonic, evil person? Or maybe not demonic, but like evil person. Did I really know much about him? Did I really know about his policies? Or did I just label him as that because of the Christian culture and bubble that I was in and all the ideologies around me? And so I just want to preface that that's where I came from. And so through the journey of exploring more on my own, getting more educated on my own, learning about different people groups, talking to people who were different than me and had different ideologies, different belief systems. I would say today, my perspective on politics is much broader and much more well-rounded, I would personally say, because I'm not just believing something because everybody around me believes it. And I'm not just consuming one media source that tells me all the same things. And I'm not just around one group of people that are all the same. In fact, I have friends on every side of the spectrum. I have people that don't vote. I have people that vote very conservatively, and I have friends that vote very liberally. And so, I would say I have close friends in all of those different categories. And so I find it interesting to hear from them, to learn from them, to see their perspectives. And at this point in time, I'm not just surrounded by everybody that thinks the same way as I do. I actually enjoy being surrounded by people with different thought processes and ideologies. All right. So the burning question for you, maybe at this point in time, might be, okay, Kait, so where do you land politically now? Like what's the deal? So let me tell you, guys, we're so sorry.
We're so sorry.
Lovey and I apologize personally for the fact that you can only watch the rest of this podcast exclusive if you're in our Patreon community. So what should they do, Lovey?
They should go to patreon.com/heartofdating.
Come and join us on Patreon. It's a great way to support this podcast. And yeah, then you can hear the rest of this episode.
We'll put the link below for you. Love you. Have a great day.
Bye, guys. The Heart of Dating podcast is created by Kait and JJ Tomlin. Shout out to our epic audio and video editor, Scott Caro. We have an amazing Heart of Dating team who helps bring the show to you each week. I want to shout out Kelsey Napier, our Heart of Dating digital marketing coordinator, and Elena Gibson, our brand and community manager. We couldn't do it without them. Now, if you guys have never ranked us or reviewed us on iTunes or Spotify, would you consider doing that? It would mean so much because our podcast can get more discovered and more people can learn how to better date as Christians. Don't we all want that? We launch our podcast each and every week on Wednesdays, so we will see you next week.